I want to thank all of you who viewed my first message on this topic that I've been sharing with you about. Over 1,000 people have viewed that. That tells me that there is an interest in learning the truth about history. Not what is being written about history, but the truth about history. And I tried to let you know that some people are trying to rewrite history. And for example, Christopher Columbus is the man, of course, who first one to find the area for the Europeans and the Africans and the Asians that were already in a known world. And so he came over here, not once, but he came over 4 times. He made 4 different trips. The first time he landed in the Caribbean at various places like San Salvador and in the Bahamas. And he went to Cuba eventually, and Haiti and Puerto Rico and Jamaica. But he also, on one of his other trips, he went to Central America and met people there, met the natives there, and all the things that he could find about that. On his last trip, his 4th trip, he made it all the way to South America. But here's what I want you to see. The truth about Christopher Columbus, who has been ridiculed and condemned in our cancel culture, and his statues being torn down and repositioned in our society, he never set foot in North America. He never went to North America. He went to Central America, South America, Caribbean islands. He never made it there. Now, did he take some of the Native Americans back to Europe? Yes, he did. But so did the settlers that went to Jamestown, Virginia. Pocahontas went back to, along with other Native Americans, went back to Europe and stayed there for a while. Did we bring them diseases like smallpox and other things? Yes, we did. And they weren't able to handle it. But we also took some of their problems and their disease back to Europe and back to Asia and back to Africa with us as well. Like syphilis came from America. And then we also found that tobacco was taken from the New World. We didn't know, no one knew anything about it in Europe until they got it from America. And that's killed millions of people. What I want you to understand today is people are trying to rewrite American history and take Christ out of it in many, many ways, is there's a danger for America's future. We've had a great past. We've had a lot of mistakes. We've had a lot of failures, but we're in the process always for all of these years of becoming a more perfect union. We're not satisfied with where we are today. We want to improve it, and that includes everything in life to become one people here in this great nation that we're in. The Bible says it this way: righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people. The spiritual history of Israel looks like a roller coaster ride. They're up one day and they're close to God. They're down the next day and they're disobedient to God. When they followed God's laws, they were blessed. And when they went away from His laws, they were cursed. The book of Judges tells us of a time when the people drifted away from God, where they forgot their historical relationship with God as the chosen people of God, where they broke the covenant that they had made with the Lord. And the Bible says it this way in Judges: in those days there was no leader in Israel, but every man did that which was right in his own eyes. I don't want you to miss this point, because there was no king in Israel, but because God knew the principle in life of leadership before John Maxwell copied it and made millions of dollars writing about it. Everything rises and falls on leadership. That's the principle of life. If there is no leadership, then you have an autocratic society which leads to chaos. And that's what we're seeing today, isn't it? It's chaos. Everybody thinks their way is the right way and everyone else's way is the wrong way, so they all go their own way. As you read the Bible, you discover God's principles that whenever He was ready to move in a place, in a people or in a nation. He started by looking for a man or woman to lead that movement. He called Abraham when he was ready to form his chosen people. He called Moses when he was ready to lead the people out of slavery in Egypt. He called Mary when he was ready to bring Jesus to this earth. He called John the Baptist when he was ready for the ministry of Jesus to begin. And when his chosen people are in danger, God always calls out a leader. And that's what we need today, a leader. Our country has been divided, it seems, since the 1960s, and it's worse today than ever I have seen it in my lifetime. We're divided into Democrats and Republicans, red states and blue states, old and young, black and white, rich and poor, blue collar and white collar, right wing and left wing, conservative and liberal. I need to ask you something. When did we all become hyphenated Christians and stop being just plain Americans? See, I believe the primary problem and our greatest danger is a lack of godly leadership in America. We have politicians who know how to be elected, but they don't know how to lead. They seem to have hundreds of answers, but no convictions. Many historians are now describing the 1990s as the post-Christian era. They mean that we were a nation based on Christian principles up to that point, but from that point on, America has changed, and we're no longer a Christian nation. I understand why some people say that. I mean, we've seen World War I and World War II, and we've seen other wars even since those great wars, Oklahoma City bombing, the Unabomber, the World Trade Center bombing, 9/11, Watergate. We've seen corrupt politicians. We've seen corrupt preachers. We've seen corrupt businessmen. And the most frequently used program on our great information supercomputer highway, you know what it is? Pornographic material. Cyberspace pornography. If we are not one nation under God, then surely we will be one more nation going under. It's not race, it's not nationality, it's not intelligence that makes you an almost chosen people of God or even the chosen people of God. It's an obedience which does what the living God commands you to do. In 1995, there was rioting done in Boston, Massachusetts. It was a group of people, a group of homosexuals. They said about 300,000 people. And they marched in Boston, and when they passed the Catholic Church, they all started chanting, "Where is the church? Where is the church? Where is the church?" And I think maybe that's what God is wondering today. In the midst of all this chaos, the lack of leadership, where is the church? The chosen people of God have become the frozen people of God. The almost chosen people of God have become locked, it seems, inside their churches at best or away from their church. What's the solution to the problems that we're facing today? Well, there is a solution, you know. There's a solution that needs to be taken care of. America doesn't have to go the way of the Persian Empire or the Greek Empire or the Roman Empire or any other empire. There is a solution. And the next time, I'm going to share the solution to the problem for the almost chosen people of God.